Hello and welcome to Rolling with Two. I'm Will, and with me as always is the big fish in this small pond,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a two-player perspective and accessibility for Kohaku. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. Kohaku is a tile-laying game about building a koi pond. Each turn, players will draft both a koi and feature tile to place in their own personal koi pond. After there are no koi tile available to refill the central board, the game ends. Players will total their points, scored by each feature in the pond, and the player with the most points wins. All right, so how do the rules change for two players?
So for two players, you look at the koi tiles. If they have 3 or 4 rocks, or little pebbles.
Yeah, they're in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yes, if they have that, you remove them for a two-player game.
Correct.
There is no bot, so there's no...
No nana koi?
There's no nana koi. Though there are yellow koi.
There are. So he's in with spirit.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only change.
So, issue at a two-player count is there's just not much player interaction.
No.
At most, you would be denying someone else a tile, but there's no aggressive, what do you call it?
Play style?
Yeah, you're not going to take a tile because someone else wants it. You're going to take a tile because it works for your scoring metric.
This works in that whole Zen aspect of gameplay.
But if you are one who usually likes player interaction in your two-player games, this is not going to have that.
No.
So what it does well at two players is you're going to find more variety from game to game in the features because you use all the feature tiles. But with a two-player game, you're not going to see that many of them.
Right.
So it means you have more replayability later.
Yes. Whereas say a 4-player game, they're actually going to go through more feature tiles. So those games are probably going to start feeling samey from game to game with only a little bit that they're not using.
Right.
This is a whole chunk of the game that you don't see feature-wise.
Right. Although this also does mean that this is a much more tactical game. You cannot really strategize and be like, oh, I'm gonna go for red fish and use red flowers this game, because you may not get a red flower. Like in our game, one of them, I think it was like the last rounds we finally got butterflies, but butterflies had not shown up until that point.
Yeah.
So it is definitely much more tactical of what can you do with what shows up.
Yes.
All right, I think that's everything for the two-player experience. So moving on to accessibility, there are a few challenges, unfortunately, because this is color-based. The red and black koi will pose a problem to some people with color-blind difficulty.
And what she means by that is the solid red and solid black, because there are multicolor that are red and black.
Yeah. If they're red and black... Okay, so the difference is the multicolored fish, well, I guess I should say the other way. The solid colored fish have a gold coin in the bottom corner because they're worth 1 more point.
Yes.
I think they might be rarer, or it's just you can do less with them.
Yeah, you can combo them with less things.
Right.
Like a red and black fish can combo with a red flower, a black flower, a red butterfly, a black butterfly.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
And so if you've got a red and black fish, it won't have the coin. So if it looks solid to you but doesn't have a coin, you can probably deduce that that is a red and black fish. But when you're comparing the red fish versus the black fish, you may not be able to tell them apart, and there's nothing else on those tiles to indicate the difference.
Yes.
One other thing is on the feature tiles, they do indicate color by a letter, which is great, except they use white letters on the background. So when you get to the white letter on the yellow background, it's kind of hard to see, and it's very small. So even for me, I'm not colorblind. I mean, this is just a vision problem because it's so small and there's not high contrast between this. So I think this might actually be a slight problem for more people than just colorblind because it's just so small.
Yeah.
And Will, you felt that initially the features could be overwhelming.
Yeah, there are a lot of different features, and each feature scores differently. Now, fortunately, they do have
reference cards
and the back of the book the instruction manual gives a reference to how everything scores. It just can feel cognitively overwhelming as to, okay, what does this one do again?
Right.
And especially when you get to near the end of a game, because by the end of the game, you will have a total of 28 tiles in front of you. So when you're getting to that 26th tile, that 24th tile,
Yeah.
it could look a lot like, I don't know what's good for me
Yeah.
to choose over other things.
Right, because you could still have a lot of options for scoring, and it could be very difficult to determine which one's going to be better for you.
Yeah.
Now, I think this cognitive overload is more because this is a lightweight game, so you wouldn't think it to be too thinky. But it does have that slight edge, and I think it really will mostly apply to just learning the game.
Yeah.
Because when you play it more, you'll get familiar and you'll start remembering this is what the flower scores like, and this is what the frog,
the
you know,
turtle,
right?
the butterfly, the flower, the
There's
statue,
7.
the rock.
I think that's all of them. Yeah, there's
a
7.
lot.
There's a lot of them. But what this does right accessibility-wise is, like I mentioned, all the features do have a letter that indicates the color. So you don't have to be able to tell that that's a yellow flower. It will say near the bottom left-ish, it'll have a Y for yellow and an R for red and those type of things.
Yeah.
And last resort, everything is open information. So
Yes.
if you're having issues trying to read something, hopefully you can get help from somebody at the table who can kindly tell you what exactly it is.
Yes.
All right, that's everything.
So, would you recommend this for 2 players?
I think so. The lack of player interaction doesn't bother me because I do feel that this is a very zen, relaxing experience. So I don't think it really needs to have high player interaction.
Right.
So I think for what it's trying to do, it's very good at being a 2-player game.
Yes, 2-player. This is a sit back, relax, enjoy, and compete on a kind of very passive
Yeah.
level. So this is not for the aggressive players, but definitely good for 2 players.
Yes.
Accessibility.
Maybe. It's really going to depend on whether you have the red-black colorblind issue and whether you have somebody at the table who's willing to help you, or you're willing to mark up your copy to have someone help you go through and put like a little dot somewhere. Maybe if you're
Like a little bubble.
Maybe if you're artistic, you can take all the black tiles and add a little bubble in the corner or something to that effect. But yes, other than that and the issue with being able to read a white Y on a yellow background, I think the rest of it is really good. It's
Yes.
just going to be those specific challenges.
Yeah, fortunately for me, I rely on the open information pretty much regardless because I just had trouble seeing.
Right.
So accessibility, I agree. For the most part, this is accessible.
Yep. Okay.
All right. And Sarah, when you were little, did you ever have fish?
I think I had a couple of goldfish. I will have to say I don't think they lasted very long, but I do remember going to what were they, like fairs or festivals and winning a goldfish in a little bag
Yeah.
thing and bringing them home. I just don't think they survived much after that.
Yeah, I think my brother and I had one fish in our room that didn't last very long. Otherwise, my parents had an aquarium with some small fish that I'm pretty sure my dad liked them.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that will do it for us. And why would you ever roll with just one when you can be
Rolling with two?
And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.